What's up, everybody? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. For this Tuesday, October 12th, 2021, I am your host, Russ Williams. I'm so glad you could be here today. I'm quite aware you could have been anywhere in the world today. I know you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you decided to be here with me, and I appreciate that. And more importantly, I appreciate you. So welcome to Transition Tuesdays, ladies and gentlemen. On this nice fall weather day here in NYC, New York City. I appreciate you guys for coming on today. Appreciate you guys checking out the show each and every Tuesday here on Transition Tuesdays. Man, again, we got an action-packed show for you, once again, my friends. But before we start the show, I just like to always state my intentions. And my intention is to give you the opportunity to laugh, smile, think, and engage in honest conversations about your life's transition. So that's what we do here on Transition Tuesdays, ladies and gentlemen. So perfect. Glad you made it. Glad everybody made it. Settle in. Take a load off, Maybe you're just coming from work, get your favorite beverage. Have a seat. Stay a while. Have a seat. Stay a while. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to say, and I appreciate a lot of people because I posted last week my mom and dad's their 67th wedding anniversary. So I want to shout out everybody who liked the picture and everything like that. And then it was funny. I had this idle conversation with my mom, and my mom was asking me, she says, "Hey, do you remember, October 7th, do you realize that was my 67th wedding anniversary?" And I said, "Wow, Ma, that's amazing." So I said, you know what? I got to post that. I definitely had to post that. So, shout out to Mom, Miss May. Shout out to my dad in heaven, Mr. Ellis. And, that was a great thing to see that, man. 67 years of wedding bliss. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, some people don't get married for 67 hours or 67 days, but 67 years, it's good to celebrate love, celebrate life. So good stuff. So I appreciate each and every one of you who liked the picture, saw the picture, and I let my mom know that you guys said hello on that. So I appreciate you guys. Well, ladies and gentlemen, stuff always goes down on Transition Tuesdays, man. Stuff always goes down here on Transition Tuesdays. So I want to talk a little bit about this Jon Gruden fiasco, what went down. And, watching Monday Night Football yesterday, we saw that the former coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, Jon Gruden, he resigned the other day. Some people say firing, some people say resign, but, he's going through some stuff here. But before I do that, we have Felicia joining. What's going on, Felicia? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays. Felicia says, lemonade in hand, my favorite beverage, checking in from Rockville, Maryland. Thank you for joining us, Felicia. Appreciate you. Welcome. So, Jon Gruden. So, he resigned because what came out was this, a couple of emails, some racial rants, some homophobic rants, some misogynistic rants. A lot of rants going on in those emails. Oh, we got my man JB, one of the Jasper's finest, Jason Ben joining. What's going on, Jason? Jason says, good evening and blessings, my brother. Good blessings to you too, JB. The man child, man. Manhattan College's finest joining us as well. Yes. Jon Gruden. So all of these emails, I think it was just a couple emails that have come out thus far, but he really hit the trifecta. Going after many different groups and just going on these rants. And I believe these emails were 11 years ago. So they looked up these things resurfaced, and now you have the firing. I guess there's some animals. Some people might say firing, but they said he has resigned, and he went on a statement saying, he thanks, everybody, thanks Raider Nation. He said, I guess if he offended anybody, he's sorry. He just I saw him quoted saying he doesn't have a racist bone in his body, doesn't have one shred of racism, one blade of racism in his body, in his fiber. I saw him talk about that as well. So I don't know, but he has resigned, and it has started a storm of opinions on it. With the NFL, with people just talking about it, and like I posted earlier, I guess some people are surprised. They think that racism and homophobia, the constant rants and talk that people, so I guess some people thought that went away. And it's reared its ugly head. What? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that it hasn't gone anywhere. Those comments have not gone anywhere. And, it's very similar, I guess, to COVID. People think that COVID has gone away, but it has gone anyway. So, but in this case, some people are saying, hey, what's different than, and I know, which is absurd to me, but I've heard people compare Jon Gruden's, his remarks and kind of comparing it to what Dave Chappelle did on his special, going on after the transgender community. I guess these are two different things, ladies and gentlemen, apples and oranges. But, some people say freedom of speech and everything like that. But, some people say that he shouldn't have got fired. I don't know about that. The NFL, here's the deal with the NFL. I mean, every week and every time there's a game played, you see on the players' helmets, erase racism. We're in it together. Climate change, all this good stuff. So, this comes down, the NFL has to take measures and, what they do to protect the brand. And I'm sure, the Raiders had to do what they had to do with this. But, it's some would say it's disheartening. Some would think that, but like I'm saying is racism, as we all know, does still exist. Homophobia, being a homophobe, these things still exist. Misogyny still exists in our annals. These things haven't gone away. Just a prominent person talking about this, makes it kind of a big story. And, but I think here's what to think about, coming up. Again, these were emails. Now, keep in mind, we all know that Gruden didn't email himself. So he had to be emailing these people. And I know I think he's part of an investigation with the Washington football team with these alleged emails that was going on, I believe, with the former owner of the Washington football team. So I think they're going through different investigations about these emails. But again, we got to see, I guess a lot of times it's the company that you keep. And again, I'm sure Gruden was emailing other people. Maybe it could have been an email chain. I don't know. He did work at ESPN. Now what do you do then? Everybody who had communication with Jon Gruden, I'm sure this wasn't, out of the blue, what was going on in this conversation. And so what happens now? Do people who had a relationship with him in ESPN, when he had his show, he's one of the prominent personalities there in ESPN. He was on Monday Night Football for a number of years, for 9 years. What do you go back now? Do you go back to the email correspondence for those people at ESPN? Maybe we might find more. So this is really interesting. This is really, really interesting. And again, it's sometimes you might think you might know somebody, and you might not know somebody. And I was watching Keyshawn Johnson earlier today, and he mentioned how he felt like that Gruden was a phony all along. Yeah, he said that. So, we'll see what goes on. We'll definitely see what goes on. Felicia says, nice hoodie. Looks comfy. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yeah. We're going to talk about this, too. This hoodie that I have on, too. We're going to talk about that from one of our new sponsors. We're going to talk about that in a few. But, yeah, oh, man. It's, it's a sight. Sometimes you may think you know somebody, Sometimes you might think you might know somebody. And, and I'll take it away from football, just like everyday life. You can be with somebody, it could be a friend of yours or what have you, this and that and the third, who might be friendly to you, might even be chummy with you in front of your face, but behind closed doors or emails or text messages might be saying something very disparaging against you, or against a group or what have you. So, I don't know, man. This is... is this an indictment? And I think this is an indictment on society, not just the NFL or, on that. This is an indictment in society. This is just a prominent person coming out and being, I guess, here's my deal. I think that, they found a couple of emails, but where there's smoke, there's fire. I'm sure they're going to find so many more emails. And we're not even getting the text messages. Text messages as well. I'm sure those are going to be out there. But my thing is this. Okay, you took care of Gruden. Gruden's probably not going to coach in the NFL again. He's going to get another chance to coach if he wants to coach. Probably going to coach in the college annals. So that's going to happen for him. But I think what we need to look at next is, again, with the company that you might keep, those people that he was sending the emails to, we need to see if those people who are on board with that rhetoric that was going on with Jon Gruden, we need to find out those people, if they're in positions of power, how they need to be, dismissed as well, or like some people say, like a cancel culture. But we have to really see on that because, I think that's the next step here. You dealt with Gruden, but Gruden wasn't alone in this. And I'm sure when it all comes out, maybe he might even talk about, hey, look, if I got to go down, I'm not going down. Here's who I was emailing and stuff like that, or texting and all that good stuff. But, if these people were associated with that on the other end, and maybe co-signing with that, or maybe joking with that, and the whole nine, we got to look at these people as well. I saw one of the emails. They was talking about the president of Players Association for the NFL. Last name is Smith. I forget his first name, but one of the emails he said about him, Mr. Smith, was his lips are as big as Michelin tires. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's just like, not for nothing. That's like really old time racist. I mean, he's going way back with the racism. I mean, Michelin tires are the size of somebody's lips, a black person's lips. Man, we ain't even coming into the current 21st century racism. We going back to the menstrual shows with the big lips and everything. So that is just crazy. It all get out as well. But I don't know, man. This is this is a societal thing. Is some people say, hey, this freedom of speech, he was doing this via emails, he didn't say this out loud or what have you. So some people are rocking with that, but I think personally, that's my opinion. I want to get everybody else's opinion too. What do you think? Do you think he should have been fired, or do you think he should have resigned, or did he do anything wrong? Some people might think he didn't do anything wrong. Some analysts might think that, but I think the Raiders had to do this. They probably should have did this before he even played on Sunday. I know everything came down on Friday. They probably should have took care of this on Sunday before it broke on Monday about him resigning and everything like that. So, because again, you got to protect that shield. That NFL is a huge shield, and again, their marketing is erase racism. So you can't have somebody, breaking down that shield because, the NFL is all about that shield and how it looks and the perception of it. So, like I said, Gruden is probably going to get another chance. We know this, we live in a land of second chances, especially if you're, a certain persuasion, you're going to get a chance. He's probably going to get a chance if he wants to coach. Probably on the college level. Is that fair? Is that just? No, it isn't. But it's just the way it is. I mean, you see, like, I'll take an example. You see, like, a Brian Williams, former anchor of NBC Nightly News. I mean, he came up, he mistruths about his, his background or his history, and then he got fired from there. Next thing you know, he lands on MSNBC, and he has his own show. So people give people chances, if they can train, I guess, in what they do. But, we'll see what Gruden, what it's all about. But, it's just the culture of it, culture of it still exists. Racism still exists. Misogyny still exists. Being homophobic, rants, these things still exist. They haven't gone anywhere. They're not going to go anywhere, because racism still exists there. So, we got to really take a look at this, take a deep dive in this, because this is more of a societal problem. It's not a football problem. This happened to happen to a football coach, but these things are prevalent in what's going on in our society. So, We really got to look into these things. And, but for me personally, my opinion, Raiders did the right thing. He had to do that. There's no place for that. Yeah, there's no place for those, those trifectas that he hit upon. And again, he didn't email himself. And I'm sure when they dig up, and I'm sure they're going to dig up even more, when they dig up text messages, who he was texting. We need to now concentrate on those people on the other end who was co-signing on these items. And if they're in places of power, high-ranking people or officials or whatever, they need not to be associated with whatever they do. Like, for example, I know one of the people he was emailing, I believe, was the CEO of Hooters. Now, again, if this person was complicit in these emails, hey, you gotta go. You gotta go. There's no place in society for that. So, that person might have to go. But again, like I'm always saying, and I'm stressing here is, Jon Gruden was not emailing himself. He might have had an email click or email chain or what have you. So again, would they think they were comfortable to come out and say this? And again, and I'll say this as well, and may sound controversial, but this is white privilege as well, this particular incident. Because if these people feel free and think that nothing's going to happen to me by doing this, because of my status, because of who I am, that reeks of privilege. But Raiders did something about it. NFL did, well, the Raiders did something about it. It wasn't so much the NFL, because the owners had to do it. They deal in-house with their teams, so they did it. And I'm sure the NFL is co-signing on it. Because again, on their helmets, erase racism. That's the thing. We're all in this together. So you have to, be in that process and what went on there. Oh, we got Matt joined. What's going on, Matt? Welcome to Transition Tuesdays, my good friend, my Crusader brother. What's going on, man? Thank you for coming on Transition Tuesdays. Appreciate you coming on. If you're just catching us late, we're talking about the Jon Gruden Trifecta. And when I say trifecta, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, man, the emails about racism, homophobic, comments, misogynists, all type of stuff. I know one of the other ones that I read about was he was talking about how women should not be officials in the NFL. He talked about that. And the ironic thing is about the homophobic rants is one of his players, on the Raiders happens to be gay. Having a great season, I might add, as well. But, how is that dynamic, in the locker room based on his beliefs on homosexuality, I guess, and his rants and everything like that. So, oh man, this, but in the NFL, there's like, how many games to go? There's like maybe, 12, 13 more games to go. So there's a lot of season left. I know that they just replaced him with the assistant coach that's there. I forget his name off the top of my head. But I guess they'll move on. They'll move on and do what they got to do. But a lot of season left. But we'll see what happens to Jon Gruden. Does he land on his feet? I'm sure he will. And but I wanted to get everybody's take on that. Do you think it was the right thing to do? Was the right thing to do for the Raiders to fire him or have him quote unquote resign? Okay, was that the right thing to do? And we'll see. We shall see on that. We'll see. And what just came down today, and I talked about him last week, was Kyrie Irving. And I want to talk a little bit about Kyrie Irving, Mr. Irving there. And with Kyrie Irving, what just came down today on Transition Tuesdays. See, I told you a lot of stuff goes down on Transition Tuesdays. A lot of things go down on Transition Tuesdays. But what just came down from the Nets are saying, like, Kyrie Irving, he can't even participate in the practices at the facilities of the Nets. So they're basically saying, hey, look, the general manager came out and the owner came out, and I'm sure they had to talk to Kevin Durant and James Harden, but they've come to an agreement that Kyrie Irving cannot participate even in practice without being vaccinated. So man, I don't know how this is going to play out, but man, I mean, this is a wedge that I talked about last week. This is definitely a wedge now that, you know, maybe we were banking on Kyrie Irving playing half of the season, but, you know, now with this, looks like, you know, it's either all or nothing with Kyrie Irving. And I heard somebody saying, you know, comparing him to Muhammad Ali, maybe will he sit out the season? Some people were saying maybe he might even retire, you know, and due to his beliefs on this. And, you know, that will really tell us something. If he's really about that life that we talked about, you know, if he retires because of this, or he, you know, sits out the year because of this, you know, we're going to see. But, and again, I said last week, I think the numbers now, they said he's standing to lose, I think if he sits out or if he doesn't play, like $300 million. You know what I mean? But I think with Kyrie Irving, this might not even be about the money. And, you know, I don't want to bang on Kyrie Irving because he could be going through some stuff, you know, minus this vaccine deal. You know, you just never know what people are going through. And, you know, it could be mental stuff because, you know, we've seen Kyrie Irving has taken some time to have some, you know, take some mental breaks. You know, last year, he went kind of MIA and came back and, you know, let the team know, hey, look, you won't be playing here or there, you know. So might be some stuff going on, more stuff that we are privy to. So I don't want to bang on him, but, you know, we really have to see, you know, what the situation is with Kyrie Irving. You know, now that this has been mandated, and again, this puts a wedge upon your teammates, and you know, I can see a Kevin Durant or Harden who don't have a lot of, you know, the shelf life in their NBA careers. The window of opportunity is closing. You know, they probably have to make a decision. You know, do they rock with their brother or do they move on? And you know, trying to get a championship. Because, again, this puts us a wedge between your teammates, organization, the fans. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. But, you know, if Kyrie Irving is about that life and about his convictions, and, you know, maybe this might lead to him retiring because he feels so strongly about that, you know, and it's kind of comparing that to a stance that Muhammad Ali took when he was, you know, when he refused to report to you know, to Vietnam, and you know, he 2 years of his career was you know, he couldn't fight, and he stood up for the cause. You know what he said? The famous line was, you know, and he says, yeah, Viet Cong never called me a nigga, you know, and that's the quote by Muhammad Ali. But you know, and he stood by his convictions. Will a guy like Kyrie Irving stick by his guns and sticks by his convictions? We don't know. We don't know. But, you know, it's a lot is at stake. You know, a lot is at stake here. For the I was going to say the New Jersey Nets, for the Brooklyn Nets. So, you know, we'll see. We'll definitely see what the situation is. But a lot of stuff's going on. A lot of stuff is going on with the whole, you know, with the sports dynamic. And it's funny how sports mirrors life, especially with this Jon Gruden situation with the, you know, just to know, ladies and gentlemen, and, you know, and we all know, but sometimes we got to be reminded that, you know, racism is still alive and kicking, ladies and gentlemen. You know, people being homophobic, live and kicking, hasn't gone anywhere. Very misogynistic, you know, people do that, you know. It has been around. And it could be people who even you talk to on a regular basis. These people don't have to be famous people to be racist or share these views. These people could be around you. These people could be pleasant in front of your face. But again, you know, behind closed doors or in their homes or whatever, saying stuff that's disparaging about you. And I share this with you too, ladies and gentlemen. I have more respect for somebody who is a racist, who is homophobic, who is misogynistic, if they told me who they are and not covered it up. And that gives me the opportunity to be like, okay, I see how you are. You show me who you are. Give me the opportunity to see if I want to rock with you. Most likely in those three cases, I would not be rocking with you. But you gave me the liberty, let me know who you were. I appreciate those people who do things like that, even if you're a racist or what have you. I appreciate those people who don't hide or sneak around or be a fraud. You know, that's just me. That's just my opinion on that one. But, you know, we'll see. We'll have to stick around. And again, there's going to be more to come on that, because I'm sure they're gonna talk all about, you know, from emails to text messages. They're going to really break that down. So, but we're going to see. But just to keep the theme in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that trifecta, those trifectas in this country, in our society, hasn't gone anywhere. It's not going anywhere. So, you know, it just happened to be a famous person that it hit. And but it can go wrong. This process can be in your neck of the woods. You don't have to be famous to experience that racism. You know, it could be people you know who you're with all the time, and they do these things. So there's something to think about. Something to think about. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, if we were able to make you laugh, smile, and think during this broadcast, my good friends, you have accomplished something major today. So celebrate your victory. Celebrate your victory, ladies and gentlemen, here on Transition Tuesdays. Hang tight as I'm getting my theme music together here. 1 second, here we go. Here's my theme music. Here we go. Yes. All right. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Transition Tuesdays today. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, check out our past episodes on our YouTube channel, Transition Tuesdays, okay? And when you're there on our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe before you leave the site, okay? Make sure you do that. Very, very important, okay? I appreciate that, okay? Now, if you haven't done so, please follow me on Instagram at Russ Will Transitions. That's Russ Will Transitions, okay? Please do that for me. And also, I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to you guys, the Transition Army, okay? You guys for rocking with me each and every Tuesday. I appreciate you guys, the Transition Army. Thank you so much. So I want to give you guys a shout out as well. I want to give you guys a shout out, a major shout out as well. Let me check any more comments. Any more comments? Nope, no more comments. Cool. All right. So I want to do that. Now, hey, and Miss Felicia just mentioned it. She said about this hoodie, it looks comfy, right? Oh my God. Hey, I am so excited. We have a sponsor on board of Transition Tuesdays, man, to the Transition Tuesdays family, Native of. Let me give them some claps too. Hold on a second now. My new sponsor. Let's give them some claps, some love. We're gonna do that, man. And I want to read this, okay? Now, founded, Native of, okay? Native of, that you see this hoodie here, okay? Native of. Oh, now, Native of, okay? Founded by entrepreneur Malik Means. Native of is a signature brand of everything cool and conscious in the t-shirt and hoodie universe. Okay, let me play my theme music for while we're going on, while we're saying this, all right? Very, very important. All right. Known for its logo and fit, okay? The logo. The Native of logo. Here, I got it right here, right? See that? Native of. The Native of logo right here. You see that there? Let me get this in the camera, okay? Man, Native of will take your fashion game to the next level, all right? So head over to nativeof.com. That's NATIVEOF. Nativeof.com. And here's what we're doing, guys, for the Transition Army. When you're on the site, you're going to type in the promo code Transition5, okay? Transition5. And then you're going to receive 5% off of your Native of order, all right? That's just for you guys, the Transition Army and Native of. So purchase your meaningful merch today at nativeof.com. You see this? Native of Wakanda. You see this? This is cool. This is hoodie season. This is cuffing season. I learned some stuff about cuffing season. when you have cuffing season, you need to have that hoodie for the cuffing season. So important, man. This is cool. This is sleek, conscious, man. And I'm so excited to have Native Of as a sponsor of Transition Tuesdays. Excuse me. So appreciate that, Malik Means. Native Of, get your gear today. NativeOf.com. Make sure you go on there, okay, ladies and gentlemen? And like I always read before, guests of Transition Tuesdays, okay? The Transition Army receives, okay, a gift candy pack. Compliments of our sponsor, Sweet Candy Cafe. Now, Sweet Candy Cafe is the home of Southern Sweetness, located in downtown Lumberton, North Carolina. So after the show, you ladies and gentlemen, you have a homework assignment. You're going to go to nativeof.com. You're going to also go to sweetcandycafe.com. And when you go on there, you're going to get your orders, and you're going to make your orders, and you're going to get you some sweet confectionery goodies. Okay, right there. And also remember, okay, at sweetcandycafe.com, they ship anywhere, internationally and abroad. So we got no excuses, okay? Represent there, okay? And that's sweetcandycafe.com. Because as you guys know, here on Transition Tuesdays, we support small businesses. That's what we do. And we got our new sponsor again, Native Of. So proud of these guys, man. So sleek and so comfortable, man. I can sleep in this, man. I'm telling you, man. This Native Of gear. Get yours today. Get yours today. So, ladies and gentlemen, Transition Army, as we say in party, happy transitioning, and we'll speak to you soon. Take care, everybody. God bless.